Hi friends, welcome back to my channel. Everyone is really enjoying this business coaching scam train that I've gotten on, and I thought today it would be fun to just jump right into a few different stories that I found on Reddit, read those, react to those, and give you my insight on the coaching industry as a whole, why I think it's a pyramid scheme, and red flags that you can look out for if you want to avoid getting scammed in your own coaching, business coaching, looking for a mentor type situation that you might find yourself in. Okay, so without further ado, no long intros today. We're going to go ahead and get right into the episode. This is YouTube. What am I talking about? Let's go ahead and get into our first story. So I'm going to be reading today from my laptop instead of my phone, but I will pop the story up on the screen here for you to follow along. So this article is titled, "Trying to Get a Refund from a Business Coach," and want advice. Hi all, I posted this in the anti-MLM Reddit as well, but I want to post it here too, so I hope that's okay. It's a bit of a long story. I paid thousands to a business coach in the hopes that I could create an online business teaching a skill. I don't want to get too specific and identify myself here, but it's a legitimate skill and not just business coaching. Okay, very, very common oftentimes when people are looking for mentorship. They see these online coaches who say things like, I'm going to teach you how to build a $5,000 online course, or like to make $5,000 selling online courses. I can teach you how to scale your service-based business. And then once you go through the actual coaching program, it turns out that the only skill that they know how to teach you how to scale is coaching. So I don't know if that's what the story is going to get into, but that's just been my observation, having been exposed to the coaching industry since about 2018. So they continue, I'm usually pretty good about avoiding these types of scams, but I was in a vulnerable, low confidence, and very anxiety prone state at the time. This coach targets anxious women who want to start businesses. She told me she could help me, and we set goals of making around $2,000 per month with an eventual goal of $4,000 per month. And she literally wrote the goals down, and I have the proof. Okay, so this is another thing that we often see, and this is actually how I ended up in the situation getting scammed by a business coach, is that these coaches often prey on vulnerable people, not just women, men as well. But it really comes down to finding people that are in a vulnerable state who are unhappy with certain circumstances in their life, whether it's their job, their relationship, their living situation, the place that they live, and preying on those people, offering them the dream or the opportunity to improve the life that they have, to finally acquire all of the things that they could ever possibly want. And so it puts these people who are in a really vulnerable position in an even more vulnerable position because they are susceptible to really desiring to get out of that situation. So I think back to my own situation. I was in a job where I was really, really, really unhappy. I would literally sit at my cubicle wanting to smash my head on the concrete wall thinking like, how is this possibly going to be my life for the next 30 years? Lo and behold, I found someone on the internet that said, if you find yourself at your job wanting to smash your head on the wall thinking, how is this going to be my life for the next 30 years? That was me 2 years ago, and this is how I got out of it, and I can help you too. And so what did I do? I signed up for her coaching program. So it is very, very common that these coaches prey on these people in these vulnerable or anxious positions. So fast forward 7 months, I haven't gotten a single client, a single sale, or a single monetary result. I've put in a ton of work, and it looked like I was making progress because I was challenging myself and creating a following, etc. I was stupid, I know, and I can see that now. And every month she would keep stringing me along, saying, you're right near gold. I can feel it. Keep going. You only fail if you give up. You're so close to that first client. I can smell it. And at the end of this package, she acts like it's been a great experience for both of us. And she's so proud of me. And so at first I figured that it was me who was the problem and that I failed. This also is something that we see very, very common in the coaching industry and in MLMs and any kind of, pyramid scheme, essentially, is the idea of toxic positivity. So if you're not familiar with the term toxic positivity, essentially it refers to this phenomenon where people like to make you believe that you should avoid negative thoughts at all costs. Even in events that would typically evoke feelings of sadness or dissatisfaction, it's considered inappropriate to behave in those ways if you are practicing toxic positivity. So say you are in a job that you don't like, rather than complaining about the fact that you don't like your job, it's up to you to spin it into a positive. This is an opportunity for me to find a new job or to start my new business or whatever that looks like. Toxic positivity is this excessive, overgeneralized sense of happiness, which is basically just being in denial that anything bad could ever possibly happen in our lives. And that's a whole video in itself. So in this context, basically, rather than allowing the client to feel as though they are a failure and that things in their business aren't going as expected, this coach is drowning them in positivity, saying, you know what, like just keep trying. And really it's just a ploy to get them to continue to sign up for more coaching packages. But as I looked into it more, I began to realize the real reason I failed is that all the other client testimonials on her page are from life or business/financial coaches. She teaches people to sell the dream in a very scammy way. Only 2 spots left, etc. And she doesn't work in a real craft or technical business. She told me she could help me anyway and was happy to string me along and soak me for cash. So essentially, if I am inferring correctly, what this individual is saying is that she wanted to create a business based on a specific skill. And even though this coach had only ever successfully worked with other people who coach other people, aka they were part of the pyramid scheme, she convinced this individual that she could also help her with her service-based business, which was not related to coaching. So there was sort of this disconnect wherein the individual was really desperate to get their business started, that they just kind of went with whoever seemed successful without really doing a proper vetting process. And so as a little bit of an aside, a takeaway that I often encourage people to do if you are someone who is looking to hire a mentor is to always make sure that you ask for their credentials. What is your business experience? Do you have business experience beyond just coaching other people on how to coach other people? If so, what is it? And if that individual has only ever had experiencing coaching other coaches, the only product they have ever sold in a business setting is coaching itself, which in my opinion is not really a business at all. So I would be wary, always ask questions, don't be afraid to ask for proof. And even if it feels uncomfortable or like you don't trust the individual, it's going to save you money in the long run. Can you believe she was still asking if I wanted to continue our work together even after 0 monetary results? I had a similar experience. I've shared this in other videos, but when I worked with a coach that charged me $4,500, she would take days to respond to my messages. By the time she ever got back to me, I had already figured out whatever my question was. She never really did anything other than tell me to write in my journal as if I already had the things that I wanted. There was no skill delivery, no actual knowledge about how to run a business that was ever given to me. And then after ghosting me at the end of our program together, she came back 3 months later and asked if I wanted to sign up for her new program. So definitely can relate to this, that these coaches aren't actually tracking the results that their clients are getting. They just want to be able to continue to make the next dollar. So I worked up the courage to ask for a refund and things got even crazier. She said that she had a written contract with both our signatures on it. Y'all, I never signed a single thing or even received a contract from this woman. So I knew it was absolute horse poop and I asked her to produce my signature. So then she deflected and said no refund policy. And I think she's ignoring me now since I called her out on this lie and made a record of it. She said there was an implied contract and services were rendered so I don't get a refund. I looked more into her past after this and found out she's one of those business coaches who coaches coaches on how to produce infinite business coaches, etc. Interesting. Okay, so even now as a consultant, I have a contract that my clients will sign, and I do remember signing a contract when I hired my first business coach. So it's interesting to me that this person first claimed they had a contract, realized they didn't have a contract, but then tried to give them a no refund policy. Because even if you don't have a contract, it should say in the terms and conditions on the invoice that the client pays what the refund policy is. And that's for literally any kind of business, just an aside. I want honest advice on what to do next. I feel now that I can't even use the info I thought I got from her coaching because it's scammy and only works to sell the dream and stroke people's anxieties in a pyramid scheme style way. So I feel completely ripped off, have no functional business, and want my money back. I was thinking that if she refuses to refund me, I'm going to report her to the FTC and post my experience all over social media, in Facebook business groups, report her to Instagram, etc. Is this a good idea? I don't want to do anything that will make this crazy woman target me. She's not who I thought she was and turned into a completely different person when I wanted my money back. Any advice is welcome. Thank you so much for reading. Okay, interesting. So this individual wants a refund. The coach refuses to give her the refund. Very, very sorry about that. And unfortunately, based on my experience I've heard other people have, I do think that there is little recourse that will be able to happen here. Definitely, personally, I would blast this person online if you do feel like you were outright scammed and they refuse to work with you. At minimum, you could post an Instagram story and say, this is my experience with this person. Again, it's kind of like what I do here on YouTube. I haven't outed anyone by name yet, but I think it's really important that you are starting the conversation, especially if you do feel like really upset about it. In my circumstance, I'm not angry enough to want to like go after the person that scammed me. I think I was just in a vulnerable place, and unfortunately, I was taken advantage of at that time. But I also don't honestly believe that the coach that I worked with had ill intentions. I think that she was also sort of indoctrinated into the coaching culture, if you will. So my situation is a little bit different, but if you are someone who, like this individual, wants to take action, I don't see a problem with you just simply sharing your experience out loud, because worst thing they're going to do is just like block you, but then you can just move to Facebook or something else. So if that's going to help you sleep at night, by all means, I say go for it. Drag this person. This is not legal advice, by the way, but you're free to share your own experience if you did have a negative one. So that's just my thoughts. You can share what you would do in this situation down in the comments. I would love to hear other people's thoughts. If you have experienced a similar scenario, what did you do? Okay, let's go ahead and move into story number 2. Okay, so this thread is just titled Business Coaching, and it's inside the subreddit of Anti-MLM. This is my throwaway, but I've been following this sub for a while. I worked for a woman for a few years for what started out to be a part-time office assistant job. She was freelancing for a few businesses, and I worked out of her home office helping with page layout and simple design work. A few months in, she decided to quit her ongoing freelance work and break out into business coaching. Me, being young and out of college, wanted any form of experience, and I stuck by her for a few years. I really had no prior knowledge of the coaching industry, but I initially wanted to work as her assistant and help her grow her business, so I did. I was immersed into the world of coaching. As I worked on web design and quick design jobs for her clients, along with social media work, she held these long, tedious coaching calls with potential clients that virtually led nowhere. A lot of her work was connecting and saturating this overblown market with other coaches. They would hold giveaways, contests, webinars, all with shifty titles such as 6 figures in 6 months, how to have money flow into your account, grow your list with gratitude, all while she constantly complained about not having any money, constantly yelled at and berated me and her other employee, and gossiped about the other coaches in her own coaching group. Yes, coaches have coaches along with her own clients. Okay, so I want to touch on the titles piece here, this like 6 figures in 6 months, how to have money flow into your account, etc., etc. I have shared a number of screenshots in the past. In fact, I will pop some up on the screen here that demonstrate this common rhetoric we see in the online space, often enticing individuals with the promise of making a certain amount of money in a certain amount of time. And I would just err anyone with caution that if you are seeking out a mentor, anyone who claims to be able to guarantee that you will make X amount of dollars in X amount of days, it's a scam, and please be wary of that, especially as we are in the recession or approaching the recession. We are more vulnerable and susceptible to falling for these schemes because we want to make money, and that is not how you're going to make money. So keep that in mind. I eventually left this position for a better job, but sometimes I look back and realize the Stockholm syndrome really set in. I know coaching isn't exactly an MLM, but in some ways it kind of is, absolutely. While the coaching industry isn't necessarily an MLM, for those of you who don't know, MLM stands for multi-level marketing, and it's essentially things like Arbonne, Monet, Thrive Global, Q Sciences, I could name a million, where you are selling a product to people, but at the same time you're recruiting people to join your team, and you make the basis of your money through recruiting people and not through selling the products. So I like to think of coaching as like the MLM without the MLM product. So it's straight up just a pyramid scheme. I'm just coaching you, recruiting you into my coaching scheme so you can recruit other people, and so on and so on. So a lot of people who get into this business hold fake online certificates, online Jenny Thurnip Razzle McDaz coaching certification, which literally has no real or valid merit. They display these bogus certifications on their websites and sales pages to attract clients who are starting businesses, blogs, etc. I'm going to be exposing myself a little bit here. I dabbled in coaching about 5 years ago for a little bit, and I had one of these life coaching certifications. And you want to know how I got it? I paid $13 for an online course. I did have to put in quite a few hours to get that certification, but honestly, looking back, it's complete bullshit. And I would be happy to do a video exposing myself, so just let me know in the comments if that sounds interesting to you. The worst thing is that people who join coaching groups are being led by coaches, hence the MLM connection. They pay the higher up coaches for their advice, and it's always salesy and pushy. Their own coaches would give advice such as make X amount of sales this month, just manifest the clients and they will come. They use the same classic MLM jargon, boss babes, fempreneurs, lady bosses, and colorful graphics, 80 photos of themselves on their website or blog, and call themselves experts in the industry. They sell bogus programs that cost anywhere from $200 to $10,000, giving false promises to people who are starting out their business. If you commit yourself to this program, you will see your sales grow in just 1 year. That is common rhetoric seen in the MLM space as well. If you just work harder, you will be rewarded. It's all based on how hard you work and how much effort you put in, etc., etc. When the reality is, the system is only designed to benefit a very select few. So even if I pay you $10,000, that doesn't mean that I'm guaranteed my business is going to grow by $10,000. And this is all instructed by their own coach, who also, by the way, has their own coach. It's a chain of bogus coaches. You will see this time and time again, that one coach will also have a coach on top of them, who has a coach on top of them, etc., etc. So it's just this cycle that perpetuates, hence why I believe personally that it's a pyramid scheme. The coach pays their coach a flat or monthly rate depending on the offered program. While there isn't necessarily an upline or a downline, the coach will manipulate the lower down coach to stay in their program for another year with false promises and bad excuses. Oh, honey, this just wasn't your year, but the cards have something different for you. I know it. Also a great point. So a lot of the times these coaching programs can look different. I'm seeing a common trend right now that a very prevalent form of coaching these days is these low ticket memberships. So people will entice you to join their low ticket membership. Low ticket meaning that it only costs you like $6 or $7 a month. But then once you're inside that membership, they try to upsell you on a more expensive version. So maybe it's $50 a month or $100 a month. And then from there, they try to get you into these like high ticket offers. So anything that's like $1,000, $2,000 plus dollars a month, or maybe it's a one-time fee. It depends on the program. So I've been involved in, like the story I shared before, that one time I paid someone $4,500 for a 6-week coaching package, which turned into a few months long because she was so disorganized. But then I've also been in a monthly membership program where I paid $200 a month to have access to a coach and access to like a Slack channel and a big group of people. So it can look a few different ways. Some of them are scammy, some of them are not. I actually had a really good experience in that monthly membership that I was in. But again, it all comes down to vetting the mentor that you're looking to work with. Because these coaches are making money at the end of the day, and the lower down coaches might be business or brand coaches who actually want to affect some sort of change on business owners. But they're persuaded into buying these expensive programs by other coaches being told that they are investing in themselves. You might have seen this rhetoric online. Oftentimes, people will say, you have to spend money to make money. That's a really common line in the coaching space. Therefore, meaning you should invest thousands of dollars into my coaching program, and that's going to be your secret to success, which in not all cases is necessarily true. My old boss spent time trying to convince a woman on disability who had just lost her apartment that right now is the right time to start investing in her business. I remember it was on speakerphone. The woman telling her that she had virtually no money to give to her to start coaching, and my boss was frustrated with her response. She asked her if she could pay in a month, and the woman agreed. She didn't owe her money, but she became so predatory and focused on the money, but pretending to be concerned with the client, that it truly disgusted me. That is awful. On disability? Man, we see this on MLMs too, where they're like, sign up for the MLM, just put it on credit, worry about it later. I actually had a girl, complete side note, try to recruit me into her MLM. She told me, you wouldn't open a Starbucks without any supplies inside of it. So if you want to join Arbonne, just pay $1,200 on your credit card and buy $1,200 worth of products so that you have products for your store. Like, okay, sure. The point of this is that these predatory coaches don't give a about you. They don't care if you have to take out a second mortgage on your house to pay for their coaching program. They are focused on making their next dollar versus the actual benefits they're going to give to you. If you followed me for any amount of time, you know that I offer consulting services, I offer mentorship, but I do it at a price that's reasonable because I don't want people going broke just trying to work with me. I understand that growing and building a business is hard and that we can't be throwing away $10,000 with hopes that it's going to come back to us. Like, this is absolutely ridiculous, especially preying on vulnerable people who straight up just don't have the money. There are so many free resources online if you are serious about starting or building your own business. If you have the time to invest, you could just figure it out on YouTube, Google, TikTok, etc. And if you need help with that, let me know in the comments. I have thousands of hours of resources that I've created for free that I can definitely give you access to. I don't know if anyone out there has experienced this kind of sham, but I'd like to start a dialogue about it. While it's not a traditional MLM or pyramid scheme, it preys on the weak, it's shifty, it scams people out of tens of thousands of dollars, and it's wrapped into a pretty glittered boss babe bow. Wow. I love that. I love this story. I appreciate this person for sharing it. It was just a random story that I found on Reddit. It's actually from like 5 years ago, but it just goes to show how prevalent this sort of scam and scheme still is now in 2023, which is kind of sad, honestly, and a little bit disheartening. But that's why we're here. We're doing the work. We're sharing these stories. I think it's really important that we continue to have these conversations so that we can help each other out and really just prevent more people from falling prey to these scams. You know, I see friends of mine even now looking at hiring mentors and talking about the value found in these mentorship style programs. And it really just hurts my heart to see people that I care about wasting their money on this. So I'm going to keep talking about this. Of course, if you have a story you want to share, you can always send me an email. My email is linked in the description of this video down below. That's going to be it for today. I will be back next week with more scam stories. So until then, take care, comb your hair, and I will see you in my next video.